boots to asses. That's not true.
Enough is enough.
Happening,
Start playing with some jam in here. Let's go.
Backstreet Sports.
Boy, the setup for this show is really incredible.
Is a flawless intro.
We have got to get a camera up in here so we can get some. Oh my goodness. Okay, people, just to paint you a picture of what we were trying to do. Last week we reported that Tanner was going to be on vacation. Well, we got him queued up on the phone. What's up, boy?
Yo, how you guys doing?
How's that deserted desert island?
Oh, it's great here. Beautiful.
Oh, blah, blah, blah. Who
Now,
cares?
All right, dude.
I'm jealous of you.
Let's
really
dive
am.
into this real quick here. Thursday, June 6th. We got Tanner in Hawaii. We got the other three guys here. T, Chris,
What's up?
Max, the whole crew. So I want to dive into this talk real quick. A little NBA talk last night. Game 3 of the NBA Finals. The Warriors were down a couple key stars. Klay Thompson was out. KD obviously still out. And, Steph goes off, 40-plus points, almost 50 points. And he didn't get much help. So I just want to get you guys' reaction real quick. As a whole, what do you think is going to happen as the series continues? Do you think if Klay gets healthy in Game 4, if KD can come back, that the Warriors still have a chance to win?
Well, I called the game like midway through the first quarter, if everybody remember. I said, all right, that's game. That's it. Now, Tanner was the only one that was actually optimistic about the game, saying that it wasn't over. Yeah, I seen differently. Curry wasn't going to do, Curry couldn't do it on his own. He just couldn't. All right, I'm sorry.
Tanner, were you able to catch any of the game, any of the highlights?
I was able to catch the game. It didn't look like Steph was getting too much help out there last night. And
Yeah, he did take a lot of
those
shots.
Warriors were playing really wounded, so I'm thinking they're going to bounce back and they're going to win. They're still going to win the series.
You think? Yeah, because I just don't see how it's going to happen. If KD's out for, obviously he's already been out an extended period of time, but if he can't come back until Game 6 or 7, I think the way the Raptors are playing, Kawhi's not even having his best shooting, games. The last couple games, he hasn't been shooting as efficient as he's been.
And to that, I mean, from the start of the game, it just looked like the Warriors were flat-footed, and the Raptors came ready to play, and they were moving the ball a lot better. I felt like, and they were playing much more disciplined. And when they had their opportunities at the free throw line, they were making them.
Yeah.
And from like you said, with Leonard not shooting well, they look like a great cohesive team right now. I mean, Siakam looked great last night.
Yeah, Kyle Lowry really impressed me,
Kyle
too.
Lowry, too.
And yeah, to that point, that's one of the things that I said that you couldn't, forget about with the Raptors was it's bad enough when Kawhi is their consistent scorer, but when the entire team starts scoring like that, you're not beating them. You're not beating the Raptors. It's hard to beat them. So
Gasol's playing well for them.
Gasol looked great, too.
yes, he
Fred
did.
VanVleet coming off the bench. Danny Green hit a lot of threes last
Yes.
night, man. He looked really good. And it was in Golden State on top of that. That's their first loss since Game 7 of the finals a couple years ago. I mean, man, geez. I just don't. You going into the series, we all thought, even without a healthy Kevin Durant, the Golden State Warriors still had a pretty good chance of winning the series.
Yeah.
And now we're sitting here after 3 games. They need to get Game 4 at home if they want to win this series. If they go down 3-1 going back to Toronto,
They don't have a choice. The hope is that they get Klay. At least they get Klay back. That's the hope. But they don't have much of a choice. If they don't win Game 3, they're in serious
4.
danger of. Oh, I'm sorry. 4. Jeez.
I got you.
See,
I got you.
This is what happens when you balance college and everything else. So
There were pictures of Kevin Durant back there with just his ankle wrapped in ice, so the Warriors could be just keeping it low-key when Kevin Durant's returning.
yeah, and Klay Thompson's strained hamstring also played a factor last night. He didn't play. He suited up, but he didn't get on the court.
yeah, that was a coach's decision. They sat him down, but you could see when they turned the camera to Klay that you could see the frustration in his face. He was just like, "Listen, I could have went. Like I could have helped. I could have contributed. Like this is irritating me." But I like to see that out of players. But I think the team ultimately made the right decision.
I think Kyle Lowry had a crazy game last night. A game I haven't seen out of him in a long time. I mean, he was looking like the team. Obviously, he's been there for a long time. Basically, obviously his whole career. But man, he was leading this. Kawhi didn't have his best game, and he was really, almost being that guy that was kind of getting firing everybody up on the sidelines. playing great defense, hustling for loose balls on the court. Almost like they just wanted the game more, and Steph was trying to do everything he could, obviously, hitting some crazy threes.
Yes.
And I mean, there were even some times where, just because Steph was trying to do everything he could, because he was almost like the only guy out there. There were a couple things that he did where I was like, "What the hell are you thinking?" Like that one, I don't know if you saw it, that alley oop, I guess you could call it, from beyond the 3-point line, just right off the backboard and right to whoever on Toronto rebounded it. I don't know. I didn't like his decision making that much last night.
Well, the thing about it is with Steph is he's so used to having those guys around him. He's used to having the full court. So now you're working with the second hand guys, and that's a heck of an adjustment. I just wish he wouldn't use that flash that he usually traditionally does with the starters that he did last night with the backup guys. You got to understand that there's a lot on the line in this series, and you can't be just giving the ball away like that. Like that, the Raptors were hot last night. I mean, they were scorching. Everybody was on fire. That's not.
Ibaka was blocking everything.
Yes, Siakam. Oh my goodness! Like everybody was just contributing to. Everybody contributed to the win.
Great role players.
You can't be doing stuff like that.
Yeah, Tanner, how long can you hang around for? You got like a couple minutes?
Hey, I got a couple minutes to go through some Phillies stuff.
Yeah, I want to touch on some Phil stuff. Obviously, Craig Kimball signs last night, 3 years, $43 million. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, man, I didn't think it was going to happen. Honestly, I thought it was going to happen a little later, but that's crazy. Those Cubs look really good, and I'm scared.
Would you have given him that 3-year, $43 million contract? Do you think that was a little too much, especially with Kutch getting hurt, which we'll get into shortly?
Hey, I think it's all right. I don't really have much more to say about it.
Would you have liked to see him in a Phillies uniform though for that money and that amount of years?
Well, definitely that would have been great.
Right.
But I don't think we would have went that angle anyway. I don't know if we were on the list for getting him.
Mm-hmm.
High up on that list, I should say.
Right.
But I don't know. Maybe it's a good thing that we didn't sign him.
Right. With the with McCutchen going down with his injury, obviously in the leadoff spot, he played a big role. Do you think the season? Obviously we don't want to just throw it away. Probably not going to be the year that we win the whole thing.
McClutchin.
But do you think with Kutch going down, do you think as the deadline approaches, we're not as aggressive? We don't make those big time moves for maybe a Bumgarner or something to kind of put us over the top?
I don't think this team's done, and I don't think that contributed to any move or anything like that. But it is terrible about McCutchen and Clutch, I should say.
Right.
And it was really
McClutchin.
bad losing him. And I just want to say something about the lineup. I like the way that they're putting Harper in the 2-hole.
Yeah.
I don't know if they'll continue. But I think a change-up for me would be in the 5 and 6 hole. I'd put maybe Bruce at 5 and JT move him down to the 6 hole.
Right. Let's split the lefties and righties up a little bit.
Yeah. And I like him. How many home runs does he have? 3 right now for the Phillies?
Bruce has 3 for the Phillies. I think he's got 17 overall now.
Yeah.
He's got 16 home runs overall, I think.
Yeah.
And he has the most of anyone else on the team. He's Mariners team that would hit multiple home runs a game. At one point they had the most home runs in the league. I don't know what they're doing now, but I just think we got him. Cutchin's out. We got him at a convenient time.
Yeah.
We're looking for help to add depth to the outfield for Odubel's absence as well. But now he's able to fill for Andrew. He's not going to be Andrew McCutchen, but he's going to be able to fill in for him. He's swinging that hot bat, so hopefully he keeps it up.
Yes,
and
sir.
we got Roman Quinn coming back.
Yeah, he'll take over center field. Hazley's obviously had a game winner last night. They don't think he's ready yet for the major league level, but we'll see what happens. I don't know. I just wanted to ask you one thing, and then I'll let you get out of here. Darren Sproles earlier in the week said he wants to come back. He wants to get top 5. He wants to be part of the all top 5 list, all-purpose yards all time. So do you think he's got another year left in him, and would you bring him back if the money's right?
Hey, if he's that confident, I really liked him as a player, and his personality. If he's that confident, sure, bring him back. But I know he also has interest in the Chargers and the Saints to return back to them. So, I mean, who do we have? We have
Well, the problem is
Howard,
we really don't.
Clement.
Yeah, but as a punt returner, we don't really have another option. That's kind of what's got me,
Right.
on the fence.
We just have Deshaun Jackson.
Right, and we don't want to. He's kind of older now. We don't want to get him in harm's way. I mean, we really need him to be our deep threat.
Right.
So,
Right.
yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens though. All right, man. We'll catch up with you next week. Hopefully back. Have a safe trip back here.
Hey man, I got
enjoy
plenty of your drops, to keep playing to make sure people think you still here. So we good for the day. Well, yo, man, enjoy
All
your
right.
vacation.
We do
seriously.
miss
Great
Tanner.
being the first calling in, so
Hopefully we
I'm
start
gonna
a
go
trend.
back to bed. It's like 5 a.m. here.
All right, dude. All right, man. We'll catch you later. All right.
All right, catch you guys later.
All right,
care of
have a
yourself.
good one. Tanner Gill Martin, everybody. Listen, guys, diving back into the finals real quick. I just want to wrap up a quick point here. Watching, when I'm sitting there watching games like, especially last night, how dominant the Warriors have been over the last multiple finals, obviously. Going into Game 4, what has to change for the Warriors? Obviously injuries, they play a part in this game. But when these guys come back, what has to change? The role players that were playing well in series prior to the NBA Finals against the Raptors, those guys aren't having the same impact while they're in the lineup. Kevon Looney got hurt. Jerebko's basically not playing well, flat out. Alfonso McKinney's not playing as well as he did back.
You're asking
against Portland.
players at this point that aren't used to putting in those type of minutes and aren't used to being asked to do the major things that the starters were usually asked to do. You're now putting those role players in those positions, and of course they don't have the skill level to be able to step up to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And you obviously seen that last night. Now, if these injuries continue to pile up for the Warriors, there's no way they're going to win this series. Now, if you at least get Clay back, which I think Clay is probably closer to coming back than Durant probably is. I've been hearing some things about Durant that ain't necessarily good, but I'm not going to bring it up because they're just, hearsay. But if you get at least Clay back, then you can at least compete with the Raptors.
It's uncharted territory for the Warriors right now, down 2-1 in the NBA Finals. They definitely need Clay back, and at this point, the way they looked last night, I mean, Steph, he can only do so much, He can only carry a team so far, especially going up against a great team like the Raptors where they just come at you with so many weapons. So Clay would definitely help, but if Kevin Durant can somehow, even at like 75%, to come out and try to give anything he can to help this team bounce back in the series, obviously that'll be much, much needed for the Warriors. And I hope they can get Game 4 because I want to see a competitive series, especially because going into the series, I thought the Raptors, like I said, I took the Raptors in 7 games, basically because of the home court advantage that they had. But now having 2 stars in Clay and KD both out, I just sucks because you want to see both teams at full strength, especially in an NBA Finals. It kind of sucks when both teams aren't at full strength. But let's dive into some Phillies talk now. Obviously, coming off a disappointing road trip, they got 2 yesterday, they got 2 the last 2 games. They were able to escape San Diego with a win.
We knew what you meant.
But man, that Dodger series, going into it, I personally wanted to see how we were able to match up. I was confident going in. We had a series W against the Cardinals. We were playing really well. We won a lot of series in a row. And I had confidence going into that Dodger series. I know how great their pitching stacked up against us, especially all left-handed pitchers in that series. But man, we just got spanked.
Yeah, not to be a negative Nancy, but I wasn't going into that series expecting to win it. I really wasn't, especially with that lineup. Freaking Max Muncy.
Here we go.
Oh God, of course.
They come at you. All those left-handed bats.
Pisses me off.
Jock Peterson,
Jock
Max
Peterson.
Muncy.
That swing,
Cody Bellinger.
That swing
man,
looked so ugly too. That home run he had.
They just come at
It's
you.
ridiculous.
And their bullpen with Kenley Jansen, the back end of it is hard to compete. I mean, if you have 3 outs in the 9th inning to work with, it's hard because he's so dominant as best in the back end of the bullpen. And their starting staff, they don't have a weak link. We have Nola. Okay, he gives us a good shot to win. Arrieta, the same thing. I don't know. He's been inconsistent this season.
Not as of late.
But
I
man,
at least
Rich
expected-
Hill, Kershaw,
Right.
Hyunjin Ryu. I mean, these guys just keep coming at you.
I at least
Ryu has
expected
been
us
hot. Sorry.
that's all good. I at least expected us to come out with 1 win. Like that's bare minimum.
I mean, Hector Neris has been great for us this year. He gives up the home run to Will Smith.
Y'all know.
Pisses me off.
And
Y'all know
on
how
top
I
of all
feel.
this stuff, it's like 1 a.m. Like I just want a W, right? So I can go to sleep
Did any of you look at that notification and think, what is this typo? Will Smith hit a walk-off in the 9th for the Dodgers against the Phillies. What are you talking about, MLB at bat?
Yeah, that's just.
I don't know. Of course.
I just seen who threw the ball for the at bat. So
Has he never been a big Hector fan?
yeah,
Obviously,
and I now threw my phone.
Oh, and don't get me wrong. I still have my issues with Hector, but now with Sir Anthony having this
elbow
problem, the bullpen is being stretched really thin right now, and it's like, I mean, who can you call up? Austin Davis.
Well, as Tanner once said,
you're always on your back.
Yes.
Listen,
Right,
Chris, I'm with you 100%. I look at this as, especially because I want to get your guys' opinion on Craig Kimbrell real quick in a minute. But for me personally, I don't think we should have given, or gave, I should say, Craig Kimbrell that huge contract just because of how many guys, and I'm not talking about guys that aren't good bullpen pieces. I mean, think of all the guys that are injured in our bullpen that have been good. Now, hear me out because I'm going to say a couple names where you guys might disagree with. All right, good.
All right, let's go.
But when I say good, I mean they bring something to the table, whether it be able to pitch multiple innings, have a high strikeout rate. Guys that we don't really have in that bullpen right now. So I'm going to throw this out there real quick.
Okay.
I'm going to throw out Tommy Hunter.
Okay.
Obviously, David Robertson, we signed him to pitch big innings for us, and he's been out for a long time. But
he's been,
Adubaray Ramos, Adam Morgan, who's been great for us this season.
Adam Morgan's been great.
Okay, I'll give you that.
That's 4 right there. Off the top of my head. Sir Anthony goes down last night. Obviously, that's going to be another loss because he hasn't been having a great season.
Yeah, he hasn't quite had command of that fastball,
but
like he has in the past.
We still relied on him to get big outs. The only guy in our bullpen right now where we point to who's had a great season for us so far is Hector Neris.
Neris.
Other than that
That's
walk
not
off,
true.
That's not.
his ERA is low, and I just think
It's not true? And now I know why math teachers want you to show your work. They want to see where you messed up. Show me where he has not been probably the best guy in the bullpen this year.
I go off eye test, and you know that. You can show me all the stats you want. Y'all can tell me that his ERA is below 2. Y'all can show me all that. I look at what I see with my eyes.
Other than Adam Morgan and the couple times I've seen Victor Arano, even though there's still a part of me that gets nervous watching Hector Neris pitch, he's been one of the better guys. He has.
Statistically.
I mean, how many blown saves does he have this year?
I think just that one.
Just that one, I think. It did kind of make me a little sick to my stomach that yesterday Juan Nicasio got the win. A little bit. But
that shows you how thin our bullpen is out there, though. J.D. Hammer gave up a grand slam to Manny Machado a couple nights ago.
Oh, yeah.
I look at this team, and I think I can't say the season's over based on the fact that we have so many injuries. And Roman Quinn, I know he hasn't shown the ability to stay healthy, but if he can come back and he's got the speed to cover ground in center field, Adam Hazley will see what he can do at the big league level within the next couple weeks.
Yeah, and sorry, I didn't mean because it looked like you had more stuff.
Go ahead.
But if Adam Hazley turns out, we may not have to worry about the whole Andrew McCutchen thing, and if Roman Quinn can keep himself together, literally, maybe we won't have to worry about the whole outfield thing. And we still got, even though he has not been great this year, we still have Nick Williams down in AAA. So.
But how about Adam Easley, man? In the clutch situation, a young kid just getting called up, and you hit the game-winning pitch.
We needed that one big time. We needed it.
And
that
was
clutch.
That was a tough pitch to hit. That was outside.
Yes, it was. It was outside the zone going away.
There was a split second where I was like, what the hell are you doing? Okay.
You know what? I almost had that reaction, too. I was like, yo, first off, what are you doing?
You big dummy.
Why'd you hit that? Why'd you swing at that? But it made contact.
Kingery turned on the Jets. They got the good bounce, and they got the run home.
Yep. I'll tell you what, looking at that Dodger series and how bad it was, coming out of this road trip this week, 2-4, can't complain.
I'll take
can't complain.
No.
I'll take
Especially after starting off the road trip 0-4.
Yeah.
Being able to get those next 2. And Bruce, I'll tell you what, having his bat in that second game in the Padres series injected into the lineup, man, he hopefully, and I'm not saying we can't expect him to keep his pace up,
No.
because it's kind of ridiculous.
But Chris, I think you were onto something when you said you needed the left-handed power in the rotation.
Oh, yeah. Oh, in the pitching rotation.
I'm talking about I thought you mean the batting.
Well, I don't call the batting lineup the rotation.
Man,
Scott Kingery, your boy Scott Kingery.
Scott Dingery. 2 nights ago, every RBI from Bruce Wayne and Scott Dingery. The Adventures of Bruce Wayne and Scott Dingery.
Yeah, this is serious. We should try to create.
There's our title for today. The Adventures of Bruce Wayne and Scott Dingery.
Man, I figure we title it To Tanner.
To Tanner.
Vacationing in Hawaii.
We miss you, Tanner.
No, that's question.
But yeah, no, that one game, 8 runs, 6 RBIs from Jay Bruce, the other 2 from Scott Kingery. And
They went back to back a couple nights ago.
They did, yeah. And I don't want to just see 2 guys getting 8 runs in for the Phillies.
Yeah.
You know, but man, Scott Kingery has low-key been really good this year.
Especially playing a great third base as well defensively.
Yeah.
I mean, Franco's been like an afterthought at this point.
You know, I hear people complain about we had a hole at third base. I don't see that. Not as long as he continues to play the way he's been playing.
I am feeling more and more comfortable with Scott Kingery being an
everyday third
baseman.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, why not? Give it to him.
From what he's shown us.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I still want to see what Hazley can do. You brought up J.D. Hammer giving up that grand slam. That, to me, is just a young guy taking a punch in the gut. He's young. He's just got called up.
Nola didn't give him, good support
Help,
there.
no.
He gave him like 3 base runners and left.
The little bit that I have seen of J.D. Hammer, because I don't get a chance to watch every game, I've really liked what I've seen. Freaking looks like.
I want to touch on Aaron Nola real quick.
Okay.
Man, he hasn't been himself. He just hasn't been himself. In that start against San Diego, he flies through the first like 4 or 5 innings, and then he just almost like completely falls apart in that 6th inning. I'm trying to get your point on what's happening with Aaron Nola. Why isn't he looking like that same Cy Young candidate type of pitcher we saw last season?
I wish I had the answers for you, Max.
You know
what?
We talked about this when we were first worried about Aaron Nola, and we were saying, is it a physical thing or is it a mental thing? I think at this point, it's a mental thing. And that's the one thing I was scared about. I did not want it to be a mental thing. I was praying. You can heal physically. Mental-wise, when those negative thoughts and those negative things starts entering your head, nothing is going right for you, that's bad.
We've seen flashes of his dominance a couple times this year.
And, I mean, a guy who went through something similar to this was Roy Halladay. When he was a younger guy back then, looked like a great dominant pitcher, and he had a couple dark years where he wasn't performing well, and he went to a sports psychologist for... apparently he went to him through the end of his tenure with the Blue Jays and into his career with the Phillies.
And obviously it helped.
It did. And, I mean, who knows? Maybe, I mean, obviously Aaron Nola is a completely different person.
All right.
But it might be something he could look into.
2 things I think about Aaron Nola when I see him pitch. Obviously, last year, early in the season, I realized, man, this guy's special. So I wanted to watch almost every start because he's going 7-8 innings. Mm-hmm. He's going to strike out 10+.
Typically.
And just dominate usually last season. So last year, compared to this season, what I've seen watching games, his curveball location, when his curveball is going right for him, people either swing right through it or they freeze because that thing goes up like a 12-6 and then it just drops right into that zone. What I'm seeing this year is his curveball's lower in the zone, so it starts out in the bottom portion of the zone and then dives out of the zone, almost like he wants people to chase it and they're not chasing it so far. So he needs to get that curveball working and also fastball location. His 2-seamer that usually runs back on the outside part of the plate, it'll look like it's going to go outside, obviously, and then it just bang, it comes right back inside, especially to lefties when it runs inside and then comes back and catches that corner. He's been missing with the fastball location.
You know, I know we're talking about Aaron Nola, but that's what Jake Arrieta was trying to do in his start yesterday, and his same process. His other game against the Dodgers.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say. Mm-hmm. No, when you look at those the 2 home runs he gave up in the Dodgers game, and the 1 home run he gave up, the one he gave up yesterday was up and away in the zone, which not a great place. Both home runs in the Dodgers game were both to obviously left-hand batters down and in, trying to get that 2-seam to curve back into the zone. And I don't know, especially yesterday, it seems like his command, Arrieta's command, has been really off. I don't know
either. He's a lot of the ball when Arrieta's going right, his balls are down in the zone, right? But they're thrown for strikes. I see a lot of himself. He's tipping his pitches a lot, and those balls are just diving straight down into the dirt. You know that 2-seamer. Nola moves his east-west, right?
Yeah.
So he goes inside and then wants it to dive back over.
Right.
When I see Arrieta throw his, he kind of comes up top. He has like a higher release point, so he comes down, and that thing kind of like almost like a
That's interesting. That's interesting.
yeah. It kind of it starts high and then kind of just floats right down through the bottom of the zone and then hits like almost like JT's always like it bounces up there and JT's got to stop it.
I'm glad you observed that. You know what? Dang.
It might be arm angles because Arrieta has like that side arm angle in a way. Arrieta kind of comes right over the top. Another thing I noticed about Arrieta is his pickoff move is awful, and he's slow to home plate, really slow to home plate.
Do you
that-
do you guys think Nola's problem is that he's almost aiming the ball where he wants it to go instead of just letting it naturally do what it's supposed to do? Because I'm getting that feeling almost because that's the one thing, and I'm glad that you brought up how everybody throws their pitches, because I'm starting to pay attention to that too. You guys know I'm a big film guy when it comes to football, and I'm trying to get into it with baseball and pitching. So when I pay attention to pitches, everybody has, their signature thing, their signature throwing style. And then when I look at Nola, it almost, and I'm still an amateur at this, but it seems as though he's almost aiming where he wants the ball to go. Like you said, he's telegraphing it, almost telling the hitter what's going to happen.
Right.
So when I look at him and I observe him, it's almost like to me, it just looks like he's aiming the ball. I could be wrong, but that's just how I observe it.
Sometimes for me, it's almost like he and I've seen that too. And pitchers get like that. They want to almost like if they're in trouble, they're not pitching the same. They're almost overthinking. They want to put it and they try aiming it. Their velocity dips a little bit because they're not throwing as hard. Things like that. So I see that in Nola, and I also see times where it almost looks like he's just throwing it and see what happens. Especially with his curveball. I feel like last year his curveball he had a nice grip on it, and if that thing just was a saucer. That thing
Curveball was nasty.
And now he's almost either just throwing it and like, you know what, it's early in the season, whatever happens, or he's almost just yanking it. He's holding on to the ball too long, and what that causes is basically instead of releasing it here and letting it go up and then come down, he's releasing it here, and then that's what gets it to go and into the dirt. So it's just not the same.
I do think you guys are onto something about that, because I remember last year when we first got Arrieta, and he was struggling a little bit sometime in the season last year. The MLB Network is honestly fascinating. Some of the analysis that they do, and they were focusing on Jake Arrieta one time, and they were comparing his release from what was going on then versus his Cy Young year in 2015. And I mean, yeah, you're right. I mean, I forget exactly what, but his arm angle was a lot different.
Right.
And I mean, it's little things like that. And even with batting too, they talk about it all the time. Like, if you step your foot like this, it's going to cause your bat to do that.
Yeah.
It's
there's
literally down to a
so
science.
much. There's.
I was just explaining to you guys the release point, but for everybody listening, when I'm saying when Nola releases the ball in the middle, towards the middle of the zone, when he's coming forward, when he releases that thing in the middle of the zone, the curveball, what it does is it comes up in the zone, and then right before, when the batter's obviously he's got to make a decision, swing or don't, that thing kind of just drops into the middle. And when I said he releases it here, obviously when I'm talking to you guys, but when he releases at a lower angle, that thing starts on the bottom half of the zone, and then it dips into the dirt.
Right.
So the arm angle is different, and I don't know if he's holding on to it too long and what that's causing him to yank it into the zone. But that's just the two things. And obviously he's got the stuff. We're not saying he doesn't have the stuff, but I just think it's little things that he needs to work out in bullpen sessions with the pitching coach. And I don't think he's too far away in getting back to it, because we've seen times where when he's not holding that ball too long and he's locating that fastball. Against the Rockies a couple weeks ago, he struck out 12 in like 6 innings. I mean, we've seen his dominance this season. If we want to be that team that can compete for the division title now, I mean, now it's closer now because Kutch goes down. We're still a game and a half up on the Braves. They lost last night. But if we want to compete for this division title, we need these guys to be on the top of their game.
Yeah, and the consistency is key. The pitching is way too inconsistent. The batting has to make up for the pitching at times, and that's not how a good baseball team is supposed to be run. Everything is supposed to be cohesive. Everything is supposed to work in unison, because it's going to come a time when you're in the playoffs and it's cold weather, and that pitching is really going to be a major key factor in whether or not you win in that series. because the hitting is going to go down. The weather is colder. That ball's not going to travel as far. Science, people.
Yes, sir. I want to ask you guys about two things. Chris, first for you, Nick Pivetta, 6 shutout innings against the Dodgers in L.A. over the weekend. Obviously, he's going to get. I mean, for that performance, he's going to get more starts.
Another start. Yeah.
Definitely. The inconsistency in the beginning of the season is what caused him to get taken down to the minor leagues. He just wasn't pitching up to standards, up to par, I should say. But now with that Dodgers performance over the weekend, what can you expect from him? Are you more confident? Do you think this is the same Nick Pivetta that we've seen in the past? He'll go out there and dominate. The only thing that holding me back with that statement is the fact that it was against the Dodgers in L.A. It wasn't against a division of the Mets, the Marlins, for example. Best team in the National League on the road. He goes out there, 6 shutout.
Best team in the league, dude. Yeah. Honestly, I mean, Nick Pivetta. I've never been. I know you're a Pivetta fan. I've always been a little bit more favorable towards Eflin. I mean, he's earned himself another start. And it's been the same story we've been talking about, and it's going to be the same thing until the end of the season. If he can get into a rhythm, this team needs everything they can get. That was not a good sentence. I've never had a whole lot of trust in Nick Pivetta, but if he can string together a couple wins, great. If he can... I mean, Hector Neris has kind of redeemed himself to me this year. Hector Neris was a guy that if you brought him up to me at the beginning of the season, I would have said, get him out of my bullpen. I was never a Hector Neris fan ever since that bad game 2 years ago against the Dodgers where he gave up 3 freaking home runs in a row.
You love irritating me, don't you?
Which one?
Because that's the game that I fell out of love with Hector Neris.
No, I'm saying that's the game where I was like, okay, screw this guy.
Yeah.
And it took him 2 whole years, 2 whole seasons to get to this point where I'm like, okay, Hector Neris might be my guy. What's wrong, Dave? I mean, Sir Anthony's hurt. David Robertson's out. Who are you going to put in there? I mean, sure, maybe J.D. Hammer. As
Max once said, somebody.
Somebody.
Tommy Hunter. Go get him, Tommy.
And this is the thing about Tommy Hunter. I've seen this guy pitch well in this league. He's a veteran. He's a former first-round pick.
He sure is.
He's a guy that'll give you 2 innings out of the bullpen, which I think is huge, especially the way Capita likes to use his bullpen. Hector Neris went an inning 2/3 for the save yesterday, first of all, and he's done that a lot. If our starter gets into trouble, can't go too far in the games, maybe only goes 5 innings, we got now Velasquez in there that can give you 2 innings. We got Hunter hopefully coming back soon. He can give you 2 innings.
To finish up my poorly worded answer to you, yes, I have to put my faith into Nick Pivetta because who else can I?
Yeah. That's the sad reality.
It is.
Well, listen, pitchers, bullpen. This is all I need y'all to do.
Enough is enough. Start playing with some jam in here. Let's go.
Please. That's all I'm saying.
All right, Peter. Thank you.
Step up.
I want to talk to you about how this defense in the infield and the outfield is aligned right now. I think guys that are out there that we just plug in and are definite, we look at them and are like, we're confident in them, right? JT behind the plate, Hoskins, Segura, Harper. Chris, what's happening?
So watching that game yesterday against the Padres, that tough inning, I forget who was on. I think it was actually Hector Neris, where bases loaded, and Manny Machado hits a pop up.
Segura, right?
Segura.
Yeah.
Man, he sprinted over there and just got there in time to catch that ball. And I just couldn't help but chuckle to myself. Man, would Manny Machado, if he chose the Phillies, sprinted for that ball? I just couldn't help but laugh about it.
That's a good point.
I don't know. I was like, man, because honestly, I mean, I love Harper. I'm glad he's on the team. Jay Bruce has only played 2 games, and he's on my good side right now.
He's gonna probably play almost every day now with the injuries.
Gene Segura has honestly been my favorite player so far this year.
It's hard not to argue with that, man.
He's been consistent.
Gene Segura has been freaking great.
Plays pretty good defense. He's got a good bat.
You can say he's probably the more underrated signing this year.
Oh my, yeah.
We got him from the Mariners for Crawford and Carlos Santana. So yeah, he's the move we made to get him definitely underrated, and he's produced he's produced above expectations so far this season. Scott Kingery, the way he's playing at third base every day, I'd say keep trotting him out there.
Why not?
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
There you go. That's my saying.
I think Cesar's now cooled off, and he's probably my biggest question mark. I've never been a big Cesar fan. I know, Chris, you have.
He's not your cup of tea.
No, he's not.
That is a real throwback.
He'll have a good month stretch where he produces at the plate. I just think he's slow for a middle infielder. I'll tell you that right now. He's slow for a middle infielder.
Yeah.
His defense it's been okay. He's not as good as Segura is at shortstop, and his bat's been quiet. So you can't really do. What the thing you could say is move Kingery to second base and put Franco in there, but Franco's giving you next to nothing right now. I guess you just have to ride it out.
So I mean, I would say this little cool off for Cesar started with that Dodger series. He has certainly been a lot more quiet because if you listen to last week and 2 weeks ago, we're talking about how great he's hitting the ball. I think it's all part of the baseball season.
Yeah.
Because we were talking about Andrew McCutchen like this 3 weeks ago.
Yep.
And, it's the whole season. Everyone has ups and downs. I'm not worried about Cesar yet.
Now, Tanner would have said that you mispronounced his name.
Andrew McClutchen.
That's how you're
All right.
supposed to say his name.
All right, Tanner. I mean, he's a switch hitter. He's the only switch. Yeah, he's the only switch hitter on this team. And
Andrew, but only switch to the starter, Andrew Knapp.
Sorry.
He's technically still on the team.
I'm sorry, Andrew Knapp. I didn't mean to do you dirty like that.
Yeah.
I know you're on the team.
Who cares?
Hey, he hit a solo home run in a blowout loss against the Brewers.
I remember that, yeah.
Yeah, no, but I mean, Cesar's no stud. He just isn't, and I don't think he ever will be.
Here's my problem.
but
He's a leadoff hitter now. I know he's not a superstar, but he's a leadoff guy now. And that's shaky for me.
I mean, last week and 2 weeks ago, we were talking about Cesar. Like, he's hitting the ball well. Let's put him at the top of the lineup.
We really don't have another option.
No, we don't.
No.
Not with
Gene.
the
Gene's our only other option.
And he is not a guy that's going to take pitches. You want a guy that's going to take pitches. Segura wants to swing that bat.
And that's what was great about McCutchen. Very patient batter.
Yes.
Very patient. And, it's because, it really sucks that we're losing our leadoff guy for the rest of the flipping year. Man, when McCutchen sent out that tweet, did you see that?
I did.
The pray for me.
Yes.
I was like, oh my God! I thought you just tweaked something.
What do you guys think? What do you guys think about putting JT Realmuto at the leadoff spot?
That's interesting. You don't really see a catcher lead off.
That would be different.
That would be. I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to it. He's not a slow guy like most catchers.
I just think he's one of those guys that just sticks to the fundamentals. He'll take pitches. When Kapler asks him, "Hey, you take some pitches up there," you can put trust in him. I just feel like he's a good, solid hitter. Like a guy that's going to get on base. He can walk a little bit, makes good contact, and then you don't have to rely on Cesar. I know Cesar's a switch hitter at the top of the lineup, but he can dive back into his normal spot in around 5 or 6.
I know this might be asking someone to bite off more than they can chew, but would you think about Scott Kingery leading off? Because he's been hitting the bat well. He's well over a 300 average. And he's been finding the ball lately, and he's a fast guy.
I would not be opposed to that.
No,
I mean,
I just feel like Cesar's a guy that if he's in that 6 spot or 7 or whatever, he's a good player in the lineup at this 6 or 7. We saw that earlier in the season when you got the big guys, Harper, Hoskins, Realmuto, they come up, and then Hernandez is a guy that you put behind them, and he can drive him a couple runs in here and there. I mean, he was playing well. Remember, he had that month stretch a couple weeks ago. He just finished up, and he was playing well there. I just feel like a spot like down in the lineup lower is the place for him. And I would try, mixing and matching at the top. Find somebody that is a smart player all around, fundamentals. He's going to make good contact, take some pitches.
Yeah.
Scott Kingery could be that guy.
That's the one thing for me. He's got that. Whoever's in the leadoff slot, they have to be patient. You cannot just be going up in there swinging for the fences. You have to work that count.
Yeah.
Jay Bruce.
I just think Realmuto, he's kind of
speed.
He's kind of been the one guy we haven't really talked a lot about, and I think so far this year he's been kind of overlooked. I feel like behind the plate his defense has been great. His bat hasn't been anything crazy. He's batting like around 270, maybe 265 now, and I just think he's hitting. He's a great hitter. I think he's an underrated hitter. I think he's a really good hitter.
He really
If
is.
we move him up, Segura, I like in the 3 spot because he wants to swing that bat. He wants to drive in those runs.
Yeah.
Harper at 2's fine. Hoskins being cleanup's fine. I just think you maybe especially coming up, we got some weaker opponents.
Yep.
Mix and match a little bit. Try something new.
Yeah, this is the time where you want to experiment, see what works, see what doesn't work. So yeah.
Hazley in the 8 spot, he just came up, so you want to put him lower in the lineup, obviously.
Yeah.
But man, if he can give you anything, because Odubel really wasn't giving us anything in his position. So if he can give us anything at the bottom of that lineup, that would be great. And the pitching, which people were saying they're concerned about the bullpen, I think we're going to be okay with the injuries we have. We have like 6 guys that we counted on coming into the year that are hurt right now. Yeah. And I think we can get starters, maybe 1. You can't beg for 2, I don't think, at this deadline, especially Kutch being hurt now.
Yeah.
You don't want to go out and give up too much of your farm system on these starting pitchers. Yeah. But if we can get a decent guy, nothing crazy. Maybe, what I would look for now, honestly? I would look for a guy that has control, 2-3 years of control. So he's ready for that, take that next step with this team. That's kind of all together. We got Real Muto under contract, Hoskins and Harper. If we can get a starting pitcher that's not, we don't have to go too much for. We can kind of keep him for 2-3 years down the road. Bring him along with Nola. Arrieta's only got 1 year left in his deal, and I want him out of here, to be honest with you.
Arrieta?
Yeah, I just don't think he's got it anymore.
You can't handle 1 more year of him.
Only because if he was a 4th guy in the rotation, fine.
All right, great.
We need him. We want him to produce more than he's capable of at this point in his career, and he's just not that same guy anymore.
That's something to explore in a future episode. But right now, who else you got?
And I mean, you're making more and more sense. Like the further we get into the season, the less I'm like, the less I want Madison Bumgarner. I almost said JD Bumgarner. Like what?
This lineup is capable of putting up 10 runs on any given day. Kutch goes down. I just don't want to give up on the season. This team's still capable in this division to go deep. Right?
Absolutely.
We can compete with the Brewers. The Cubs get Kimbrel. I think Kimbrel's obviously one, he's past his prime, and he's worn down. He's thrown a lot of innings.
But that bullpen, though, I mean, with Brad Brack, is that his name? And Steve Cishek, and now you have Craig Kimbrel.
Okay, yeah, fine. But those guys are just like our guys. They're not any better than the guys we have.
I wouldn't say Cishek's that bad.
He's okay. I've seen him get his doors blown off multiple times in the years past.
Yeah.
So I'm not. What I'm saying is, if I'm at bat and I got a bat in my hand and Cishek's on the mound, I'm not scared running back into the dugout or anything. I'm like, man, I'm looking for that fastball right down the middle that I'm going to crush over the fence.
And I don't know if I think Kimbrel might start out cold because he's been sitting out for about a third of the season, but
I think you guys.
I still think he's
just a little too high on Kimbrel. I feel like
he's still
at this point. I don't have to hear about him. Rumors, free agency. I'm just like, man,
It's about damn time.
Thank you for just signing with a team.
I'm telling you, when we get these pitchers back in this bullpen that you guys aren't high on, and you see Tommy Hunter out there throwing some good innings for us, you're going to be like, all right, Max, you were right.
Okay, fine. Okay, well, matchup. What name scares you more, Craig Kimbrel or Tommy Hunter? Come on. Look, Craig may look funny up there on the mound when he does this weird thing. Remember when Philadelphia completely made fun for that 4 years ago? That was great. Even though we were losing by 5 runs at that time.
Yeah.
I don't think Kimbrel is done. I know that's
for
not
the
what you're
money
saying.
that he's getting paid.
Yeah,
Tommy Hunter getting paid peanuts. Give me Tommy Hunter.
That is blasphemous.
You're paying a guy $43 million to pitch 1 inning.
That is a heck of a contract, man.
Think about that for a second. For one guy that's going to pitch 1 inning, and he's only going to pitch what? He can only go 2-3 days in a row.
That's got to be a dream job. I only have to work for 20 minutes, maybe.
Let me just lay this out real quick, and then we'll dive into the Sproles talk. When you look at this thing as a whole, our bats are fine. You want to get maybe another batter, maybe one more bat. I don't think we need 2 bats. So we want to get 1 bat, maybe an outfield, a center fielder, a veteran guy in the center field to, kind of fill out our lineup. I think our lineup right now is fine. Now, listen, I have more confidence in the relievers when they get healthy than you guys do, maybe. But I feel like when those guys get healthy and we can have one more starter in this rotation that if we can have one more starter in this rotation that we can count on, I feel like when the playoffs come and we have Nola, the guy we get at the deadline, maybe Arrieta, I think this team could be dangerous. And I think you guys got to start.
Oh yeah!
I think you guys got to start realizing that this season is not over, and we can make a deep playoff run.
We're not saying the season's over. I'm just saying that
I hate this bullpen.
that's what T is saying.
This bullpen's not bad. This bullpen is not bad. I'm stamping it right now. When this bullpen gets healthy, David Robertson, the guy we signed a big contract for.
Okay, look, when it's healthy, maybe. Right now, this is not a good bullpen.
Right now, it's not a good bullpen. When this bullpen gets healthy, and it will get healthy eventually. Yes, it will.
Old man David Robertson is going to put it together, get out there, and have his Brad Lidge year where he has
David Robertson is a great relief pitcher. He's shown it his entire career.
Okay, I agree with you. He has not shown it yet.
I understand that.
As a Philly.
And I understand it. I just feel like when these guys come back and get healthy, if we have an understarter attitude, say this.
Okay.
Think of this scenario. The bullpen gets healthy, right? And they're pitching really well. We still have the same rotation that we have right now. We're just not we're not going to be able to take that next step. We need another starter in this rotation so that if and when the bullpen gets healthy and performs well, we can be able to ride that pitching all together with our lineup and run into the playoffs and be like, okay, Brewers, like we can take you guys in the 7-game series, or the Cubs, we can take you. I know you got Kimbrel, but we can take you in the 7-game series.
Is that like a wise ass comment?
We can easily beat the Braves.
It's just so. I can't even really point out one particular game. It's a bunch of games that we have played where.
Because we got guys like J.D. Hammer out there. We got guys that are calling up from AAA and throwing out there to see if they can do it. I'm telling you, think
cool
of the future.
I'm cool with J.D. Hammer right now. No, there have been multiple games where, because, T, you understand, we all work a lot. I don't get to see every game. So I'll get the notification, it's 7-0 Phillies. What do you know about that? That's great. Gonna win. And then I'll get the notification, Phillies win 7-6. Holy crap!
Right.
And they blow a huge lead. Yes, thank you. I cannot trust this bullpen. Okay, yes.
Not now. Not with no names like Juan Acasio out there. Bunch of lowlifes. I'm telling you guys when we get actual, proven relievers back and healthy.
Not made up video game
veterans.
Guys.
Veteran presences in the bullpen.
Hey, people, that's turning into a soundbite.
Juan Acasio is not going to lead us to be able to beat the Brewers in a 7-game series in the playoffs. No.
No,
but David
Hector
Robertson,
Neris will.
Tommy Hunter, Hector Neris, you could buy those 3 guys.
Okay, I'm not on the Tommy Hunter train, but maybe Hector Neris.
Yeah. And Dubaray Ramos, who you guys probably don't even know who he is. He's good.
He's great. He's fine. I want Victor Arano back, too.
Victor, well, he's not coming. He got surgery. He's going to be out the rest of the
It's
season.
an outrage.
I know.
Adam Morgan, he's good, too. He's going to come back.
I agree with you on that.
There's 4 guys right there on top of my head. Sir Anthony, hopefully it's not anything serious. And that'll be number 5. And then you won't have to hear from the Juan Acasios of the world or the Jose Alvarez's of the world. Just a bunch of random
It's funny
guys.
to me, too.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying to you?
Oh, no.
We don't have to rely on Velasquez giving up 400-foot home runs every time he comes in out of the bullpen.
Most of those home runs are 400 feet because that's the size of the baseball stadium.
400 and maybe, all right, fine, 450. He was giving up moonshots.
There you go.
That's bad.
And a home run's a home run, Chris. A home run's a home run. Doesn't matter how far they hit it.
Even if it's at a T-ball stadium, it's a home run.
331 feet down the left field line at Citizens Bank Park is a home run.
It sure is.
All right, y'all.
You're not wrong.
Real quick.
Hitters Park.
You
Sorry.
want to touch on Sproles, T?
Yeah, let's touch on some football.
Give me a
We
green
got 10
right
minutes. Let's do it.
slot, spider 2
Shut
wide
up,
and in.
John. Shut up.
Let's touch on
Worst
this
coach.
Sproles situation. I heard what you said to Tanner about you wanting Sproles back because of his return ability and you not wanting to put pressure on Deshaun, and that is a viable statement. Here's why I say it's time to let Darren Sproles go.
Because you're a cutthroat who doesn't care
Hey,
about
Hold
loyalty.
on, hear him out, Chris. Hear him out.
Hey, wait a minute.
That's not true.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hear him out. T, I'm with you.
Yeah. Look, I say you don't bring him back because look at your running back situation right now. You have Jordan Howard and you have Miles Sanders. And you still have Corey Clement. And you still have Josh Adams. You have
Wendell Smallwood.
Really? Sorry. Really? Did you just bring his name up? Really? All I'm saying,
He got a lot of touches last year.
all I'm saying is the running back room is crowded. And I think amongst the undrafted rookies that they bring in, you can find 1 or 2 guys that can return the ball. If you're going to bring him back simply because of his return ability,
He's a good guy.
you can find somebody else. You can find a young guy to return punts. Like that's simple.
Okay, T. Is that you're good?
I'm not gonna now we have players that can replace him in offensive packages.
Right.
So
I definitely want to respond to this. Okay, just continue.
So I just don't see no point of bringing him back. I like Darren Sproles. You know, I think he's one of the most versatile guys I have ever seen for his size, pound for pound. But I say let him go.
Chris, you want to touch on this real quick?
Even though I'm poking T, trying to get him mad, I don't think we should bring him back because, I want to see Corey Clement have a resurgence because he was so good his rookie year.
Right.
Jordan Howard and Miles Sanders, I would say, are ahead of him on the running back depth chart, and they're going to get more touches than him. And yeah, if you're bringing back Sproles, it's strictly special teams, I feel like. And like you said, you can get anyone to do that.
Right.
This is why I think you're both wrong.
Oh,
and we
boy.
do bring him
Oh,
back.
here we go.
If this was the Miami Dolphins, I say, you know what? A young guy, step on in here, take over the return abilities. But because this team's contended for a Super Bowl, you want veteran presences out there. You want guys that have been there before, played through playoff games.
Corey Clement has
through
been
injuries.
Well,
I'm not talking about the running back spot. He's never going to have one single carry for us this season.
Carson
One,
Wentz
because he
was
gets
there.
injured too much.
Right.
Two, because we already have running backs that are more talented than he is.
Right.
You simply bring him back for the punt return on the right contract. That's the key, the right contract.
So I'm bringing him back just as a returner?
You want to put like a young buck out there returning punts in like the divisional round? No, you want Darren Sproles back there, a guy who's done it before, a guy you can count on to take that thing to the house.
I'm going to bring back an aging 35, 36-year-old running back just for his return ability.
Yes.
That's it.
What do you want to do? Who's another option? You just want to go out there and find somebody? Oh, okay, you'll plug him in there. You want a guy you can count on. This
Yes.
team's built for Super Bowl contending right
yes,
now.
I still have Deshaun Jackson just in case. Now,
No.
absolutely. No.
You want
hold on.
him healthy. You don't want him doing something stupid.
I was just about to say that. I'm not saying use him as the main guy to return. All I'm saying is it's not like we don't have return guys. That's what I'm trying to say.
Wendell Smallwood.
Are you out of your mind?
Sproles is a proven guy. He's done this his whole career. Give him one more
You're
year
not wrong.
on the cheap. Give him one more year. Bring him back. See if we can win a championship.
You're not wrong.
And he's got some motivation. He wants to be the top 5 all-time all-purpose yards. He wants that. Right now he's 6th. He could be in the top 4 if he has a healthy full season. He's got motivation. He said he wants to play in the Super Bowl. He said he's got a ring,
dude.
but he didn't play in the Super Bowl. He wants it. He's got serious motivation this year.
That's a big if, though.
Yeah, that's a big if.
And look, Darren, you're great. I love you. You're a tiny dude, and you're aging. All right.
See, I don't even look at the simple fact that he's tiny. I look at the heart of the player.
Look,
He's got the heart. I just gave you 2 things. He wants to come back.
He
He's
has
got
the
motivation.
heart, but does he have the stamina? Does he have the body structure
He's only
now?
got return punts. He's not out there getting snaps on 1st and 2nd down.
But then now I got to look at it from the whole team standpoint of view. I'm going to bring a guy back strictly for punt returns?
Yes, you need a guy. You need a Devin Hester out there. The guy that's, even though he's old as hell, he's going to go out there.
Man, that's ludicrous.
He's going to go out there and give you what you want. You want a guy that's been capable and shown the ability to punt. Not everybody's built for punt return. People say you can throw anybody out there, just like you're saying. Play without a kicker.
Yeah, I'm not
saying
saying.
just
I was going to say. I think this happened, but when he was on the Browns, Jabril Peppers returned punts. I'm pretty sure.
Jabril Peppers is built like Sproles, only a little bit bigger.
But
we don't have anybody that has the return ability on this team right now.
But yeah, no.
You're not
what you're
putting
saying
Deshaun Jackson in there. You're not putting. You're
it's
just
just
not
like putting a
that's-
linebacker out there to kick field goals. All right.
That's why you have free agency, undrafted free agency. That's the reason why you go through mini camps, you go through training camp. Let's try to find the guy. Let's stop always going back to the old veteran presence sometimes.
You're really calming us down.
It's a time and a place for that. Now, we debated about the offensive line with Jason Peters. Now, I think because you brought in a young guy, now that's the perfect time for Jason Peters to come in and teach the young guy. This situation, you got enough veteran running backs. You don't need to bring him back just for what?
We shouldn't have brought back
one
Jason
job?
Peters. I still disagree with that decision. $13 million for one.
Yeah,
Game. Just put
I
Dillard
don't-
out there, and you can have Peters on the sideline standing there with a cap on his
Yeah,
head
but
and tell him what to do.
Let me tell you something. Left tackle, you can arguably say left tackle is probably the second most
Dillard
important
is the best
position.
left tackle in the draft, arguably.
No. Well,
But
do you get what he's saying though?
I understand.
You're paying a guy
we could have gotten
$13
Gerald
million.
McCoy. You could take that money and put it on Gerald McCoy. We got another stud or another pass rusher.
We're paying a guy $13 million because of who he is.
But there are things players
or
can
what
teach.
he has been
What
in the
he
past.
has
There are things players can teach players that coaches can't.
And you're not wrong.
And that's where I stand with it.
But does that cost $13 million?
and I have a slight man crush from Jason Peters, so don't judge me.
All right, find something personal. Listen,
I
before we go,
I just want to ask you something real quick. I saw a report that the Eagles are having a tough time trying to trade Nelson Aguilar. What's your opinion on that?
Well, that contract, first of all,
Yeah,
is
that contract. That's why they can't move him, man. Nobody.
he's good in the slot. Chris,
Yeah.
what, you don't want him on the team?
Well, my thing is with Carson Wentz being Carson Wentz, we got to clear some space here. Don't get me wrong. When that $13 million comes off, that's going to go right to Carson.
No,
Look,
I say Nelson Aguilar is going to stay for the season. He might get
He
traded
had a great
mid-season.
2017 when
He
Wentz was
did.
healthy.
He did.
He made some big plays.
He's going to be gone.
Yeah.
All right.
They're not trading that contract.
Let me touch on this real quick, Chris. Kyle Lowry gets pushed by a fan last night. He goes diving out of bounds. The guy's sitting 2 rows over. Not 2 rows, 2 seats over. Like he went out of his way to push Kyle Lowry. Said some vulgar language to him. I just want to say, and after the game, Kyle Lowry was, he basically said,
pisses me off.
There's no place for that. The guy should never be back allowed in the arena. What do you guys think about that? I don't know if you saw the play or not. What he did was he ran out of bounds chasing a loose ball, dove into the crowd.
People do dumb things in heat of the moments, and look, I'm not gonna blame the guy for Kyle Lowry, flying into him. I don't know. Like,
it wasn't into the guy. It was like 2 seats over, and then the guy reached over and pushed him. I'm guessing it was a Golden State.
Because I didn't see the situation. I'm picturing like a guy, getting jumped right on top of. I don't know, but yeah, people do dumb things in the.
I'm with you.
And who knows how much alcohol was in that dude's system?
Yeah,
That's true.
You mix
Sitting
alcohol.
courtside, I get it.
Exactly.
I mean,
Close to the game.
I mean, okay, if I can just tell a quick story. Once upon a time at a Flyers hockey game, a guy jumped into the penalty box with a hockey player named Ty Domi. And Ty Domi beat the crap out of that guy. And fast forward years later, the guys are best friends. Who knows?
Well, yeah, but you're not going to see that in a basketball game.
I know.
Especially in an NBA
I'm just
Finals
saying,
game.
my point is people do dumb things in heat of moments.
That's
A
fair.
guy jumped into a box with a professional athlete with knives on his feet.
Yeah, that's not the smartest thing to do.
Just real quickly no, you can keep the music. To the 2 other Flyers fans that I know that listen to this, Flyers trade a 5th round pick for Kevin Hayes. Love the trade. Good guy to put at the second line center spot.
He's actually good.
Oh, he's pretty good. Yeah.
He's going to give us something.
I can't believe that the Flyers only got him for a 5th round pick because the Jets.
Winnipeg, right? Yeah.
The Jets traded a good prospect and a 1st round pick for him. They lose in the 1st round and didn't want to stick around in Winnipeg.
So they got him at the trade deadline last year. Or they had
The
him.
Jets got him at the trade deadline.
From
for a good prospect and a 1st
Who
round
did they
pick.
get him from? Do you know who they got him from?
Rangers.
Oh, well.
And when he was with the Rangers, he was a Flyers killer. So if the thing is, if Chuck Fletcher can't sign this guy, they just lose a 5th round pick because he's not under contract right now.
Sign him. We need guys.
If they can sign him, great.
We need new good players. We talked about this earlier. We need players in here for the next season.
Oh,
that are
yeah.
young, talented.
Hey, y'all.
All right, people. Chris, what's the website?
Hey, man, thackerportfolio.wordpress.com. You can catch the latest episode.
The hottest website on the
Move it on to
interwebs.
sports.
All right, people. Backstreet Sports every Thursday, 11 to noon. Catch you next week.
Move it on to sports.
You piece of Swiss cheese.